Welcome back to the Flames War Battle Report. Today I am playing as the British and Lucas is playing as the Germans, and no surprise he's taken the 116th Panzer Division again, but it is his favourite. Just playing this because Tom's not available to continue the Link campaign at the moment, and we'll probably continue that up after the Six Nations is finished because quite a few interesting matchups coming up with that, so I don't want to miss any games. But we do have a few other little games in between not campaign related, but it should keep your interest in the hobby. So we have who's playing and what as, so let's have a look at the lists. Okay, so this is my list going for British. Really wanted to have an armoured formation for a change. So instead of having infantry and then a few armoured units in support, I've gone for two formations. I haven't done this for a while. So the main formation is the armoured squadron, Shermans, using the guards, armoured division cards. So last stand is a lot better. And I'm going for a British Rifle Company, and I'm using the 3rd Infantry Division. So the rally rating is much better. So I've gone for some good solid British units here. No real hardcore artillery, but I've taken the 4.2-inch mortars to help out. They are quite good. And the other command card is the 50 cal carriers is applied to one of my UCs. Okay, so this is the Sherman armoured squadron. So it's a HQ of 2, and then I have 3 troops. So one troop is 3 Shermans and 1 Sherman Firefly. And then there's 2 troops with just 2 Shermans and 1 Firefly each. The good thing with the Guards Armour Division card is it's 3 points, and that's it for the formation. So having a big formation is quite good for that command card. So this is the Rifle Company. So I got the HQ and 2 full platoons. So again, that's 7 rifle brand gun teams, a Piat, and a little 2-inch mortar. And this is just the infantry section. I'll show you the rest of the formation now. So this is the rest of the formation. So we have 4 3-inch mortars, 2 troops of universal carriers. One of these is going to be the 50 cal, so I've used the MMG UCs to represent them. And I also have 3 wasps as well, and these are flamethrowers. So these should be quite interesting. And these are the 4.2-inch mortars, using my paratrooper mortars to represent them, so there's no confusion between the two. So these are my 2 formation upgrades. So unflappable for the guards, nice 3 points, and that applies to the whole formation. And then 3rd Division, Monty's Ironsides. Difference with these is it's plus 2 points per rifle platoon. So just 4 points in additional for this today. So obviously you can't have my 3rd platoon with the tanks like I normally have. So these are the other 2 command cards. So the 50 cal carriers is applied to one of the UCs. So basically you can see it changes the stats. So instead of regular machine guns, it has 50 cals. So taking this because of the better firepower. And then the 4.2-inch mortars is actually a command card. So it's the same stats as regular mortars. It's just the weapon stats are different. But it has got that nice 3+ firepower. And for 9 points is quite good for an artillery unit. This is Lucas's list. So 116th Panzer Division. So this command card, as some of you might know, changes the tactics rating to a 4 and the last stand to a 5. So makes them quite brittle when they go down, but quite a decent sized formation anyway. And in support, he's got his Vesps, heavy A's, which are going to be his pack fronts, and also assault flaks. And he has 4 Panzer IVs and 2 SS Tigers, so quite a good tank support as well for this list. Okay, so this is the infantry units from that formation. So we have a HQ of 2 SMG teams and then 2 full platoons, and both platoons have Panzerfausts as well. So this is the rest of the formation. We have 4 Stummels, which starting to see as being really good units for their cost in the later couple of games. They can either turn up, wipe out a unit and then die, or they can just be a thorn in someone's side all game while also causing havoc. 2 8cm mortars can be a mixed bag. It's always difficult when you're having to re-roll your hits because they're just the 2 teams. And then 3 Pak 40s, going to be a menace for my Shermans with the anti-tank 11. Okay, and these are the support sections. So we have the 4 Panzer IVs, 3 Vesps, and then we have the 4 assault flaks that are also going to be pack fronts. So again, going to be very difficult for my Shermans. And then what I dislike most about normal Tigers is the fact they are now SS Tigers lurking about. So with a motivation of 2, basically it's a battle of hoping your opponent rolls 1s whenever these turn up, and that's very rare. So a nice solid unit to come in from reserve, and also very unmovable. But luckily I do have Fireflies, so they can punch a hole through them. Here are the German command cards. So Greyhound is the 116th division card, so it's -2 points per unit in the formation, so getting a lot of cash back there. Pack front card is for the assault flaks. So again, there's a lot of discount cards coming in, and obviously plenty of cards that are taking up all those free points, so in the form of the pack front. But pack fronts are very good, especially if you want to be defending, get a good placement of anti-tank guns all around the board rather than just in one cluster, and they're always a pain to try and get rid of because you have to re-roll your firepowers. Okay, so now we're on to my favourite new feature, and I have been approved use of this image for this feature, and she actually guessed that I wanted to use this image for it. And today, the Oracle of Battle is predicting the Germans to win today, because she has noticed that there are 2 Tigers. She can notice some tanks, obviously the Tigers, and her favourites as well, the Stogs. But she's feeling the pressure now that she needs to get these right. So the agreement is if she gets 3 in a row wrong, then this feature will be pulled and her fame will be short-lived. So we'll see if she's right. Okay, so here's today's battlefield. Again, use the old setup random thing that I use. It's on one of my later videos. We're using Bocage today because I thought it'd be a bit more interesting. Using it a lot more lately really changes the game up, like how you play it. So we have a bit of a ruined town on a bit of a raised area to the top left, and then we got a bit more of the town there, and that's a bit better. Got 2 hills in either corner, and then we have the crops, and then we have the bocage into the bottom half of the table in the center, and a nice little crossroad, although the roads won't be able to use that much on the left because of all the craters from the artillery. And there are 4 little clumps of trees, 2 in the big open space near the town, 1 by the hill, and then 1 in the middle of the bocage. So quite interesting table for deployment, and whatever Lucas decides to pick. So we'll see which side he goes. Okay, we're all set up, ready to go. So Lucas chose this side of the board. We're treating the hedges as bocage, as previously mentioned, so a lot of blocking terrain, but a lot more interesting. He has his SS Tigers and Greyhound Panzer IVs in reserve, and he has the Stummels, the armoured 7.5s in ambush. So we have 2nd Platoon of the Grenadiers and the HQ holding on the objective he placed. To their right we have the 8cm mortars, and there's 2 pack fronts in the vicinity of this area. He had to deploy them quite carefully because of the tall terrain. The pack 40s are by here, some good lines of sight for them, so 1 can go down here, 1 just between this gap, and then 1 up the road, but they can all turn and fire different areas if they need to. We have another pack front here, and another one in the woods, with 1st Platoon just hiding behind these houses. And we have the Vesps on the hill, and by here is the objective I placed. As for minefields, we have 1 in the gap by here, 1 in the gap by the bocage here, 1 there, and also 1 here. I have ranged in on the road with my 4.2-inch mortars. Already might have a couple under here, and I also ranged in on the crater here, covering all 4 of these houses. Lucas, with his artillery, he has ranged his Vesps right by here, and the little mortars by there. As for my deployment, I have 1st Platoon on my right, and 2nd Platoon on the left by the woods, with the HQ anchoring them in the middle. I have my big mortars in the middle, and then the small mortars are on the hill in this ruined hamlet. UCs, regular UCs are on my far left, and then I have the 50 cal carriers with 2nd platoon and the Wasps with 1st. I have my big unit, the Shermans, here, and then I have another one here, another one on the left, with the HQ hiding in the middle. So these guys won't be able to go much further forward than they are. I might push them up a little bit to the barrage now once the infantry move out of the way. But luckily all the UC elements can move forward and start spitting fire when they need to. So I will have first turn being the attacker. Best of luck to Lucas. We're filming this on Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day, Lucas, and everyone else out there. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so this is a recap of my first turn movement. I've been very fortunate. I've managed to get 3 teams into these 3 minefields here, and they haven't been triggered yet. So I wasn't going to risk any more mines because it's 4 up to get into them. So I'm happy with that. The Wasps have moved up to the barrage, and all my Shermans have now moved up a little bit, right to the edge of where they could go. I think a Firefly might have to pop back a bit. And the infantry teams have moved up into the mines. HQ's moved into the woods. Still again is anchored between the platoons. The MMG carriers, or 50 cal carriers, have moved here, and then we have the other universal carriers going over here. And as it being night, you can't do more than a terrain dash. So I've just moved all my platoons tactically, and all the UCs have done a dash. And that's it now. So basically I'm going to be firing my mortars and seeing if I can actually range in. So that is the next bit. Okay, so all I fired in my opening turn were my mortars. I tried to range in my 3-inch mortars by here, and I would have clipped 2 Pak 40s, the Pak front and one of the Grenadiers, but I failed to range in because I need a 5 at night. So it's +1 for night and +1 for the terrain, so quite difficult. I was then going to range in by here for the 4.2-inch mortars, but then when I checked, I had 3 of the Grenadiers under the template, so I went for that. Hit 2 of them and killed 2. So this unit's pinned and I've lost 2 bases, so probably the best choice, and I'm going to have to range them in next turn probably. But that is it for my first turn, so now we'll be going into Lucas's first turn. Okay, so motivation phase, Lucas has unpinned his 2nd platoon. No ambushes are turning up, and because it's so dark, the reserves can't find their way to this battle area yet. So we'll go into movement and see if Lucas is going to be doing anything. The only movement was down here, so the 1st platoon of the Grenadiers have occupied the semi-detached and this terrace building here, all in the upper floors or attics. So basically slam the door shut for my universal carriers, and that is it. So now we'll go into shooting. So again, it'll probably be artillery or seeing how far these Germans can see, because with night attacks, each unit when they fire have to roll on a chart to see how far they can see, and sometimes it's not very, so we'll see if anything can see anything. Okay, so going on to the night firing, the Pak fronts couldn't see very far, but when you fire yourself, you illuminate yourself, so you're able to be seen, but it's still +1 harder to fire at night. So basically the Pak fronts went for my mortars, and they didn't get any hits, unfortunately. And then his mortars tried to range in on the edge of the forest to clip a lot of the guys in the mines and my mortars, but failed. So we're just using some dice here to show that they're illuminated, and it was easy for my ones because the only ones that fired were the mortars, and that is it. So now we're going into my turn 2, and no casualties yet. Oh no, wait, we have got casualties. Let's not forget the Grenadiers. Okay, so movement. I managed to get rid of 3 of the mortars at the cost of the unit leaders and the guys clearing them not moving, and when I mean mortars I mean minefields. What could move from 1st platoon has moved up into this field here with the Wasps, and 2nd platoon are moving here trying to stay outside of the template.
Only other movement I did was the UCs have pulled back behind this little ridge line by here. Not enough movement to quite clear these terrace buildings and get away from nasty damage from them. So that was my movement. So again, still night. So I have the joys of trying to range in again. So we'll see if I can do it this time. Okay, so with my mortars, I ranged in my regular mortars by here where they originally were. Got it last attempt, so I didn't get any hits. I ranged in first attempt with the 4.2 inch mortars. They're doing very well lately. Got hits on the mortars and the pack front, but no kills. The 50 cal carriers then opened up on this pack front, and Lucas failed 3 saves and just almost got it. I had 1-5 on my firepower and had to re-roll it because that's what pack fronts do. So no kill, but then I managed to pin it with a rifle team hitting it. So he's pinned, so he'll have to rally, and that is it for my turn. So now we go into German turn 2. Okay, so for the rallies, this pack front here rallied, the mortars rallied, and this pack front here did not. Ambush has popped up in the form of the Stummels by here, so these guys are going to get hosed down, unfortunately. And that is it for the startup step, so now we're going into movement. Also to mention from the startup step, the reserves have not arrived. So we had a little bit of a game of musical rooms over here. So basically, my template covers this end of the terrace and the semi. So basically everyone in those rooms have moved into the 6 available slots on this bit of the terrace. So everyone's running around, Benny Hill music playing, but they're not under a template anymore. So yeah, that's good. And the other movement is the 2 forward teams from 2nd Platoon have fallen back to behind the hedge to avoid being assaulted by infantry in the night, which is quite scary, I would guess. And that is it for German movement, so now we're going to the shooting phase again. Okay, so shooting. The Vesps have ranged in here and got a hit on my 2nd Platoon, so they are pinned. The pack front managed to get a hit on the 50 cal carrier, but only managed to bail the shot going clean through. And the Stummels managed to get 3 hits on my infantry teams, but they all survived. Again, sporadic shots with the pack fronts. I did actually get a hit on my mortars up on the hill, but I managed to pass the save. So that is that. So now we're going into turn 3 for me. So in my startup step, 2nd Platoon has failed to unpin, needs a 4+ for 3rd Division, but I did get in the 50 cal carrier, so I'll be able to shoot with them. And that is it for my motivation, so now we're going into movement again. Okay, so in my movement I tried to dig in 2nd Platoon, but they failed. The Shermans here swiveled around a bit, still not leaving my deployment zone because it is night time, so they can see this pack front. This Firefly has moved, so it can do the same, but to see the Stummel. And then 1st Platoon has moved forward into assault range, and the Wasps have moved up to use their mighty flamethrowers, but can only hit this poor guy here. So that's unfortunate for him, but we'll see what happens. And that is it for my movement, other than the UCs did a terrain dash over here, moving around the church, and that is it for my movement. So shooting, let's see what I can do. Okay, so my Wasps hit twice on this infantry team because he was the only one still dug in. And out of the 4 saves that Lucas had to make, because he has to re-roll them, he failed 1, so that was a kill. I fired my Shermans and Firefly up by here. I didn't get any hits, but then the Piat, the mighty Piat, managed to bail this Stummel, needing a 7 to hit. So well done him, you're getting a medal for this, Sonny. So he is bailed, and as you can see there's a pack front shaped hole by here. There's a lot of firepower that went into this, but in the end it was a Sherman over here that killed him. So luckily I did swivel him over. Did get pinned before this happened, but yes. So that'll just be Operation Mop Up to get rid of this guy, but the Germans might counterattack, so we'll see what happens in the assault phase. So I put 2 British infantry into the assault. I hit once, Lucas passed a save, but then he decided just to pull back. So everyone within 6 pulled back, and I consolidated to make sure I'm trying to get in bulletproof cover as much as possible. So that is it. So now we're going into German turn 3, and we'll be seeing if night is over. Okay, so in the movement phase, in motivation phase, sorry everyone, the Grenadiers have failed to unpin, and so have the mortars, and these are with rerolls. The pack front back here has rallied, and the pack 40s have remained pinned. We do have reserves coming in the form of the Panzer IVs, so we'll see where they end up in the movement phase. But the biggest thing is it's still night time. So luckily my troops have still got the cover of night from these stummels, which are going to be a pain. So let's see what happens in the movement phase. Okay, so Lucas tried digging in a second platoon and the mortars, and they all failed. So the stummels, 2 of them have moved over, and then one of them pivoted. This is where the Panzer IVs are going, so this is where the action is, all over here. And again, Benny Hill music playing in the background. The guys who were in this building have moved back over, but they've taken a friend with them. So now there's 4 in the semi-detached and 3 in the terraced house. And that is it for movement. So it's still night, so we'll see what can happen with the shooting this time. Okay, in the shooting phase, the Wasps repeated their bombardment. Again, pinned them again, but they're already pinned. So luckily they're not double pinned, and they killed another team. The Stummels managed to bail 2 of the Wasps, and that was it. A lot of shots going around, but because of night, still difficult to hit anything. So hopefully my boys here will be able to stick around as we go into British turn 4. Okay, so it is dawn. The sun has risen, and we can see each other. So could be good for me. And even better, I managed to get in one of the Wasps, so they're not running away yet. And I have not been able to unpin second platoon. Rolled a 3, so if these were Canadians, I'd be great. So that is it for motivation. So now we're going into movement, and I will be again trying to dig them in. Okay, so in my movement, first platoon are swarming along. My Shermans here did a cross-country dash, staying behind the woods. These guys did a tactical move behind the hedge. HQ's backing them up. Other platoon is moving across. Second platoon did dig in this time, and I have put all my UCs in this courtyard ready to do something if I need to. And that is it for my movement. So now we're going into the shooting, and now it's day, should be a lot easier. Okay, so in my shooting, my Wasps actually fired at the 2IC so I could pin his HQ, since second platoon were already pinned, and he got toasted badly with the 2 hits I got him. My Shermans only managed to bail a stummel, but that was quite good because it's now acting as a bit of a meat shield. Obviously second platoon is already pinned, but they're going to be limited on fire, especially with the stummels in their way. But yeah, that's what happened there. My 3-inch mortars finally ranged in where I needed them to, and they got hits on everything under the template, but no kills. But they ranged in now, so that's good. I had to rejig my template for the 4.2-inch mortars because I was danger close. Ranged in second attempt, but no hits. But again, they're ranged in. And that is it for my shooting, so I will now be going into an assault to get rid of the HQ, second platoon hopefully, one of the stummels, and the mortars, so hopefully this can happen. Okay, so I took 4 hits going into that assault, and I didn't lose anyone, which was even better. I killed the 8cm mortar I went into contact and the rifle team, but I rolled double 1 to kill his HQ, which was the vital part that I tried to get. But he decided to break off anyway, so he lost a stummel that was bailed and he pushed back. For my consolidation, I moved back everyone into the hedges, and I'm also using the bulletproof cover for this wrecked stummel. And that is it. So we're going into German turn 4, but the Tigers are coming in, and it's day, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so motivation, the HQ remains pinned, but second platoon have rallied. The 8 centimeters did rally but now run away. Pack 40s remain pinned, and the one pack front I hit is remain pinned as well. SS Tigers are coming on, and that is it for the motivation, but we'll see where they end up with their movement. So a lot of stuff to do for the Germans. Okay, so in the movement, this is where the Tiger 1s have ended up. The Panzer 4s, one of them drove around the hedge, the other one has done a cross-check, the other two have failed. The second platoon and HQ have tried to dig in but have failed, and the Stummels are remaining where they are because they can shoot at the Wasps. First platoon are remaining stationary because I have very quick units that can flank around that building and potentially threaten the objectives. So it's a bit of a holding pattern over there. Unfortunately, they're seeing their friends getting burnt, shot and stabbed to death across the fields. Well, now they can because it's daytime, but before it was just screams in the night. And that is it. So the Germans do have a lot more teeth down in this corner. So hopefully this Bocage bulletproof cover will help me. Okay, so in the shooting phase, I'm down to one bailed out Wasp. The Vesps ranged in here thanks to the HQ spotting down by there. And he managed to pin them and kill my 2-inch mortar. Other than that, a few actual lucky hits on my HQ and mortar which I managed to save. That was it from the Germans, and that is it from the shooting. So we're going into British turn 5. Okay, motivation, I could not get him back in, but he is sticking around. First platoon has rallied thanks to the HQ, but again, second platoon just not interested. So I need to move some stuff around, and we go into my turn. Okay, so in the movement, I have sent 4 rifle teams along this way to go into the flank of this Panzer IV here. There was an ability to ambush, but I wanted a few more guys to go, and I also wanted to bring my Piat up. My big platoon of Shermans are here to try and get rid of the Stummel on the end by here. And I've also moved more Shermans up as well, so everyone is tactical apart from the HQ who's done a cross country, and he, again, like the HQ, anchoring everyone in the middle. And second platoon, annoyingly, is staying pinned. They could have been very useful, and other than the guys who have moved down here, that is it. So going into the shooting, got plenty of artillery again, so we'll see what they can do. Okay, I started my shooting with my mortars. So my regular mortars, I got a couple of hits over here. I had a chance to kill this pack front, but I rolled 2 3s, so if it was the other way around and it was the other mortars, that would be dead. Unfortunately, my infantry kept getting too close to my template, so I had to re-range in again, did it second attempt, and again, same result as before, no hits there. But again, he's ranged in. I managed only to bail the Stummel, even though I pumped about 2 platoons worth of Shermans into him. I only got the 1 hit. I managed to kill the HQ team, but he's swapped over, but unfortunately that is actually last standing second platoon, and my Piat this time didn't hit his Panzer IV, but I did see a sneaky 6 emerge on the dice, but then it just rolled away at the last minute. So he'll only have 4 defensive shots against me, so he can't stop me, but he could kill all my teams, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so with the assault, I didn't take any casualties, but I didn't cause any casualties either, and then Lucas failed his counterattack, so it ends up like this. So problem is, I had a few too many guys exposed to retaliation fire next turn, unfortunately. So what I've done, 2 guys have gone up to the Bocage here, although the Tigers will probably shoot at them. 1 guy went further back, and then 1 guy went over into the Bocage by here. And that is where we end it. So he's going to have to try and go for my infantry over my tanks, which I'd prefer. This double Bocage here is going to be a great hindrance for me, as it was for Lucas, and again there's a bit of a double bit by there, but there's some gaps, but no gaps for me to drive through, unfortunately, and it would be nice if my Wasp can hang around. So that is it. So now we're going into German turn 5. So for motivations in regards to pinning and unbailing, it went very well for the Germans this turn, but 2nd Platoon has had enough and has walked away down the road, leaving the HQ by himself and the armour moving in to protect this objective. So we are into the movement phase. Okay, so movement. The Panzer IVs have adopted a crescent-shaped formation to stop me sneaking up on as many of them as possible. One of the Stummels has moved up here to go for my Sherman platoons. That's 3 shots total, so you could get rid of all 3 if he's lucky. And then the Tigers have moved up to hose down the infantry in the open. Again, 1st Platoon is staying put because again they're stopping me driving around going for this objective, and 2, they're also keeping his formation alive, although we do have the Pack 40s and the Stummels as well, so, and the HQ still here. So still quite a bit for me to get rid of. Okay, so 1st Platoon has taken an absolute battering from the Vesps and basically every MG in the area, so I'm down to 3 rifle teams and 1 Piat. And worst thing, the Stummels only got 1 hit, but they hit my Firefly and I couldn't fob it off, and then I failed my save and he is toast. So I'm down to 2 guns that can effectively take out Tigers, other than my mighty Piat. So going into my turn 6, hopefully 2nd Platoon can back up their ideas and start moving. Okay then, so motivation. With my HQ in range of the Wasp, he is back in the game and rearing to go. 1st Platoon has caught 2nd Platoon's fever and they're not rallied, so I was hoping then 2nd Platoon would rally, and they didn't. And that is it, so now we're going to movement, so let's get a few more guys contesting this objective, shall we? Okay, so my movement, the remaining Wasp has moved right to the edge here, so we can toast this HQ team, hopefully, and then everyone else here. This lot have moved up to try and get rid of the Stummels, but staying 2 inches away, so the Panzer IVs are going to have to come to me. These guys have moved, so one of them is contesting the objective also, as well as the infantry. The infantry have now dug in. And then my universal carriers have just gone into this car park back here with 2nd Platoon, because 2nd Platoon seem to think it's so grand just staying over here. And that is it. So now we're going to the shooting. And for once, my infantry are not stopping me repeating my bombardment with my 4.2-inch mortars. So we will start there, I think. So that Wasp is, well, he's cupped the HQ, he's gone. And these 3 Shermans here completely obliterated the Stummels here. And these Shermans here did have a few shots down at the Panzer IVs, but didn't hit anything. And I've also managed to get rid of one of the Pack 40s with my regular mortars. And I have pinned 1 pack front, and the Pack 40s obviously are pinned. So that is it. So now we're going into turn 6 for the Germans, and they have quite a few things to get rid of now, and they're basically contesting this objective. Okay, so for motivations, Pack Front failed to rally, but the Pack 40s are good. The only problem is there is not really much for them to shoot at, so we're going into German movement turn 6. Okay, so German movement looks like this. The Panzer IVs have all driven onto the road to get rid of these Shermans and maybe the Wasp, that's contesting the objective. And then we have the Tigers that have done a tactical move and a follow me to assault the infantry through the bocage, which will be interesting. And if he only attacks this team down at the bottom, my Firefly can't get in defensive fire just because of the tall terrain, but the other 2 will. And I've also got a Piat, but they're pinned, so we have a lot of ifs and buts here. But we've seen from last game, anything can happen, and obviously these are much better odds than what Mike was working with. Okay, so shooting. The Germans have killed my poor Wasp. He's gone, and they managed to bail 2 Shermans down here with the Panzer IVs, and they also bailed a Sherman here with the Vesps. So it's assault time now, and I've got a few defensive fire shots, and obviously he needs to do his cross checks as well to get them in. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, so the assault. He got no defensive fire hits, and basically to and through. 1st Platoon is no longer there. Luckily my Sherman backed up and he's still on the objective, and that is it. So we're going into British turn 7. I have quite a lot of bailed out Shermans and quite a lot of Panzer IVs I need to clear away, so see if I can do it. Okay, so motivation 1, Sherman here did not get back in, and everyone passed, and even second platoon has rallied, even though, why? And that is it, that is for my motivation. So now we're going to go into movement, and let's see if I can do a few things. Okay, so a bit unconventional, but all the Shermans have moved up to a gun line, and my HQ's popped out as well, so if I just manage to bail the Tigers, I can like knock on the door on the turret and tell them to surrender. The UCs have also an unconventional formed a line to try and take out the Pack 40s, and the infantry are in the building where they should have been plenty of turns ago, and that is it. So let's go into shooting, and let's do the easy stuff first. Let's go for the artillery. Okay, so I did the artillery first, and I managed to kill one of the Pack 40s, and then a barrage of 6 hits from my UCs managed to inflict 2 wounds, and then I rolled a 6 to kill it, so that ended the game. But we wanted to play it out and see what happened. So the 50 cals managed to take out a pack front with just 1 hit, and then down here the result was 1 dead Panzer IV and 2 bailed Panzer IVs. I did get 1 hit on the Tiger with the Firefly, but it bounced it. So it was the formation break-in that ended the game, and I lost just the Wasps. So that gives me... Oh yeah, first platoon is gone as well, so that gives me a 7-2 victory. And my man of the match, before Lucas goes into his, it was going to be first platoon. But then I'm thinking the Wasps, because the Wasps, one, pinned his Grenadiers for me to do my assaults, because they were able to hit, and the fact that they also then pinned the HQ so I can do another assault the following turn, and they also then killed the HQ, which obviously made his formation shaky, and then finally managed to kill him. And they also stood their ground a lot longer than I thought they would, which is why they got man of the match. And Lucas, your man of the match.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's got to be the Tigers, right? If my HQ hadn't met his unfortunate demise, that Tiger assault would have won me the game. So it's got to be them, right?
Yeah, it's because basically everyone, because that HQ team was down there, he would have just popped out and knocked on the turret of the 2 bailed Shermans, and they would have just died. And if I couldn't have countered, that remaining Sherman wouldn't have been able to contest the objective. And yeah, and it's all swings and roundabouts, really. It's yeah, but I'd say my saves are very good for defensive fire. But yeah, we definitely had a good mixed bag of dice. Like, not being able to hit it with a defensive fire onto the side armour of those Tigers was devastating. And second platoon never rallying was a problem, because I think those Pack 40s would have gone probably about 4 turns earlier maybe. But yeah, great game again. Yeah, so great game. So I'll catch up with Lucas and take a few photos of the MVPs. And I hope you enjoyed the game, and stay tuned for more.